cash is king, debt is dumb, and things like that. Well, let's talk about that for a second on the next episode here with the Banking Bros. Ladies and gents, boys and girls, Jadu and Jonah of the Banking Bros. We're here at the Cash Compound talking about your money, and I'd like to talk about cash, Jonah.
Let's do it.
Cash is king. Have you heard that before?
I've heard it. Cash is king, debt is dumb. Oh, and I'm forgetting the rest of it from one popular person. But
Yes.
you know, it's funny.
Okay.
We talk about some of the popular people who kind of preach those messages.
Yep.
I kid you not. The other day, I'm waiting for the basketball game to come on. I'm a big basketball fan. Basketball game is coming on. I was watching some hockey a few days ago with some of our mentors and partners.
Oh, I was like, what? What? To get ready for the basketball game?
No, I was just watching. I'm a sports fan. I was watching some hockey with Brent Kessler and Chris Noggle, some of those folks. We were just hanging out, and Brent likes hockey, I guess. So we were watching a little bit.
Chris would too. He's a New York guy.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't really. I mean,
he
was just there.
rollerblade and stuff?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
he was there. Anyway, long story short, I'm flipping the channels, and I see Susie Orman's Guide on Retirement.
Yep.
It was like 3 hours long.
She had like a television show?
Yeah, a television show. So I was first like, why is this so long?
I'll watch it.
But I wanted to tune in to watch some.
Yeah.
And the part that I obviously didn't watch the whole thing. I watched just a little bit of it, but I could tell that they were absolutely going for one of the nest egg approach that we actually had a video on.
Yes. Recently. On a social platform, we said, look, there's the nest egg lump sum people out there.
Yeah.
We're not them.
That's right. And so anyway, the reason I brought that up is because the messaging around a lot, and again, it was focused on retirement. It was a whole retirement session. It was like a live studio audience. She was kind of walking and pointing to people, and they were standing up and telling their story.
Okay.
It was interesting. Anyway, it'd be fun. We should. Oh, that would be fun. Anyway, the whole point in bringing that up is because it was along the same lines of the message of what we want to talk about today, using cash, having your own money, using your own money, spending your dollars to buy things, to pay things off. And that's really kind of what we want to troubleshoot with you today and show you what our thoughts are on it.
Yes. So many of you know that the person that we were trying to quote there, how does it go? Debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the
status symbol of choice.
There we go. That's Dave Ramsey, of course. We historically have loved Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
But we differ on this, and we're going to do a little contrast compare right here on this episode. But first, let's help you understand that when we're talking about what we're talking about a place to store your cash and capital so you can spend it, so you can use it, you can do stuff with it. We're not actually talking about the things that Dave Ramsey or Susie Orman actually says about these same products, because they're talking about investments. They're talking about investing, putting your money places where you can't get to it. There's taxes and fees if you do. And then one day you should have millions of dollars that you can spend when you're 60 or 70.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about. They're just different. Okay, but we might be talking about some of the same vehicles to do completely different processes. So here's what I would like to say before we compare and contrast. Jonah, that the people who borrow money from third parties. So you deal with people who are paying off debts all the time. Yes?
I do. Yes.
Yeah. So where do they borrow money from? And do most people borrow money, or what's going on?
A lot of people borrow money.
Okay.
A lot of people, as of late, are very interested in line of credits.
Are they?
So home equity line of credits, also known as HELOCs. Someone yesterday was mentioning an ALOC, which is an access line of credit. It's actually the first time that I had heard that. I had to kind of look it up and see what was going on.
Yeah.
But it's line of credit.
Was it based off of some asset that they had, or their house, or what?
I'll have to go back into it. I didn't know exactly. Now, his question wasn't specifically about the line of credit. Okay. It was, if I have this line of credit, can I do this thing that he wanted to do? So I just looked it up quickly just to make sure I wasn't like completely missing what the line of credit was.
Correct.
And I hadn't heard of an ALOC before, access line of credit. So I just looked it up quickly, and I just realized it was kind of a generic line of credit. But a lot of people do that. So a lot of people are interested in that lately. And then credit cards. Credit cards have always been popular. Credit cards are awesome if you want to use them, as long as you're disciplined enough to pay them off.
Have cash flow.
If you are not, please don't use credit cards. They charge crazy dollar amounts on interest. It's really nuts. Like no one would ever, go get a house at 29% interest, but they will get a credit card and rack it up like that. So
rack it up to the same number.
It's like, please don't.
Yeah,
please
$100,000. Okay, so here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine a line. Okay, I know a point, line, and plane from geometry in high school cannot be defined, but I think we can all think of a straight line, like a timeline, going across your mental image frame. Okay, and that line is a dollar amount, and that dollar amount is zero. Okay, that's the flat line. That's the zero line. What I was talking about is the debt people who borrow other folks' money and then pay it off are basically going below that line.
That's right.
Because they're borrowing dollars that are for other people, and then when they pay it off, they're back to zero. Okay, so everybody got that image in their head? You got it, right? And when we're talking about cash, so here's the thing. So many people out there, and there was a guy I was following along with a guy who we've got some new TikToks coming out with very soon, hopefully, Jonah.
Okay.
Sneller.
Yeah, absolutely. Ron
okay?
Sneller.
Ron Sneller was with us in May. I've been on his TikTok experiences, going live and stuff, so he's a good dude. Okay, so there was a guy debating Ron, who's not paying attention. He was doing his presentation that I was watching. It was great, but there was a guy in his DMs and in his comments talking about, no, rich people pay cash. Rich people use cash. If you don't have enough cash to buy it, then you're not rich. He's saying that over and over and over.
Okay.
Just the other day. So I'm just enjoying, but I see this guy saying these things. And now let's take our same scenario, flat line at zero.
Cool.
Debt person goes down beneath it. They owe money. They pay it off. They're back to zero. Well, not worth anything.
Yeah, why don't we just do a comparison? Why don't we do like a situation where we both want to buy the same thing?
Yep.
And you'll use cash. Or do you want to use cash, or I'll use cash? It doesn't really matter to me. So one of us will use cash, and the other person will use not cash.
Well, here's the thing I want to say first about that cash line.
Okay.
For those of us who are saving cash, we go above the line. Okay, there's a line at zero, so we save the cash. You want to buy a house, or let's say a car, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, you go above it, and then when you pay for it,
you're back to zero.
You're back to zero.
Yep.
So for the sake of the illustration that we're thinking of so far.
So it's like everybody's just kind of hovering around zero.
Zero.
You go below a little bit if you take out loans or debts, or you use credit cards, right?
Yep.
And then when you pay them off, you go back to zero. And if you're using cash, you're saving up a bunch. You're getting real high, right?
Yep.
But then when you pay for something, you're going back down. So everyone's just like hovering on this zero plane.
Now, here's where we're getting to our comparison. I'm with you. What if there was a third option?
Yeah.
Where we didn't keep ending up back at zero.
Right. We talk about this a lot, or at least I do, when I explain to folks opportunity cost, which we'll talk about here in just a second. But I like some of these examples, so maybe I'll save it for just a second. But let's do it. Let's do a comparison. So one of us will use cash, and one of us will use our third option, which, if you've been following us long enough, you understand is banking. It is a privatized bank using cash value whole life insurance. That's how we're gonna set this up.
What are you telling me, that life insurance is a place where you can store money and actually use it?
I sure am, man.
Okay, so
it's the save and spend system, as we like to call it. So why don't we have the same dollar amount to start with? What about 10,000?
Okay, great. Okay? We both have a job. We work the same job.
Yep.
I'm going to be the cash guy. I'm normally that guy when it comes to our conversations. You be the policy guy.
Okay.
The banking guy, but that bank has your name on it. It doesn't have Wells, City, or Chase on it.
Okay.
Okay, so
it's my own personal bank. I got you.
Okay, I'm gonna get some dollars here. All right, I got 10 grand. I'll just take one. So if you're watching, I got $100 in my hand here, but we'll call it $10,000 in cash. So I store my money wherever my direct deposit HR friends put it from work. Okay, so I'm putting it in B of A, Dub F. Okay, I'm putting it in the regular bank. Now, what are some of the reasons that I'm going to put the money in the bank?
Not many today.
Things like that, right? Yeah, but not
convenience.
Convenience is the main thing, and they got me using a Visa card. That makes it easy.
How I always say it is, it's really hard to shop on Amazon without a debit card.
Yeah,
really hard.
Yeah. So what I do is I put my money there, or have other people place it there, and then I deploy it by being able to swipe my card is basically it, and I can use internet functions. Okay, so the other things are, historically we used to get like, compounded dollars, low growth. We obviously don't really get that now. So when I spend the money, we have already said that I'm going back to zero. I'd have to save up again. I'd have to make payments to myself to get back to a cash position. Where are you keeping your money, Jonah?
I'm going to keep my $10,000 represented by this bill in a privatized infinite banking policy designed and built for cash value.
First off, I don't understand what you said. There was so many words.
It was a lot of words.
What does that mean?
What I'm saying is I'm keeping my dollars, my money, my hard-earned money I work for.
Yep.
I'm keeping it in a safe place. How about that? Make it easier for you. I'm keeping it somewhere where it will grow, compounded, guaranteed by a contract. I'm not just saying it's going to grow. They'll show me on paper it's going to grow. I'm going to keep it there. That's where I'm going to put my dollars. So you put yours in the regular bank.
Yep.
And I'm going to put mine in what we sometimes like to call the private bank.
Okay.
Which again is a life insurance policy designed the way that we are teaching about.
So the first thing that I heard here is you have a guaranteed growing rate on your money.
I sure do.
Okay, so if I have a little bit of interest paid by the bank and you have a guaranteed growth rate, the first question I'm wondering is what are the differences? And point of order for all you folks out there, that means if you have a guaranteed compounding rate, it's not actually an investment.
That's right. Investment's going to imply risk. Investment's going to imply possibly up, possibly down type idea. Mm-hmm. So that's not what guarantees are about at all.
Okay, so let's just be frank and let's jump right out in here and say to the people, I'm earning 0.01%. If you have a guaranteed contract, how much is your money earning?
So it depends on the contract,
okay.
But the guaranteed rate has been right at around 2% currently. They changed it. They changed it recently.
Yes.
So it's right around 2%. Some contracts will give you a little bit more. We'll get in the details later, but the safe one is 2% guaranteed.
Okay. So here it is. Now, when I want to buy something, what are we going to buy with our 10 grand? Because we're going to do the same stuff.
Let's do
But all we're doing, once again, is we're storing our money in different places.
What do we do summer coming up? Why don't we do a jet ski?
Okay, we're going to buy a Sea-Doo.
Yeah, Sea-Doo. Yeah.
A Sea-Doo. Okay. Is that the same thing as a jet ski?
Yeah. I mean, the Sea-Doo's like the brand.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
This is
we're going to buy that.
Yeah.
It's going to cost us right at 10 grand, I guess. Is that fine? Okay.
I think so.
10 grand.
I just made that up as I think they're about 10 grand, but yeah.
All right. So maybe that's a nice one or maybe it's not a nice one.
I hope.
We don't know what we're talking about, people. We're out here.
Somebody give us Sea-Doo prices.
Yeah, somebody comment or something. Down below. Let us know. Not below deck. There's no below deck on a Sea-Doo.
Nope.
Okay, one level. Okay, so if I want to go spend that money, remember, I've got the cash plan where if I have enough money, according to this person in the DMs, or maybe you as you think, I have enough money to buy it. And I might even need to, this is the other thing, my man Dave is always saying on the radio, I can negotiate a better price or something.
Not really.
Yeah.
No.
Not unless I buy it off my friend's garage sale.
Right.
Cool. Okay, so we're going to buy it from the retailer. 10 grand, that's the price. Okay, so if I take this money out, I'm back to zero. We already went through that. What about you?
Cool. So my money, remember, is in a guaranteed contract. Okay. So actually, it would be really goofy of me to do a withdrawal and take my money out of the guaranteed contract, right? Would you agree? It's in a guaranteed contract. No risk, no up and down. They're promising on paper it's got to go up.
Well, then my question is, then how do you buy
the Sea-Doo?
The Sea-Doo.
Cool. While this money's growing, the insurance company actually will give me access to something called cash value. It's using this money as collateral,
okay,
and they're going to give me access to cash value. Now, with access to cash value, this is the money I want to spend, this one, because it's not mine. Does that make sense? Insurance company gave me this one as collateral. I want to spend this one. I don't want to spend this one. So guess what? I get to go get my Sea-Doo, pay the money for it. Now the Sea-Doo's in my driveway, right? Attached to my boat in the back of the truck.
On the dock.
Whatever it is.
Why would you put it in the driveway?
This is true.
Okay.
But here's the cool part about it. I'm not back. I didn't go up to come back down to zero like we just talked about, kind of hovering on the zero line. I had the 10,000. I still have the 10,000. It's still in the guaranteed contract. It's still growing. And I've got the Sea-Doo.
Okay, so here it is. You're saying that the insurance company gives you a separate pot of money to use and spend.
That's right.
And it doesn't actually stop the growing of yours.
That's correct.
Okay, so here it is. I spent my money. So if I were going to do the same thing at WF or B of A, I'd need to take a loan from them.
Yep.
And I could leave my money there too. Now, it's only making 0.1 while yours was making 2.
Yep.
Okay, but I could borrow from them too.
Sure.
At the bank, and then I could buy a CDU. So what's the difference now? Because I went and asked for a loan.
Yep.
You got one automatically. You apparently had that ready on deck on standby.
That's right.
So what's the difference now?
Well, it's really just math at this point, right?
Okay.
Let's do some math together.
Please.
So let's start on yours. So you're making point something at those banks, right?
Right, sure.
Okay, cool. So if you borrow $10,000 from them,
Yep.
right, get a loan from them, that's kind of
Yep.
the same thing we did, and they're going to pay you, or they're going to charge you on that loan.
Sure.
So what do we want to call it? 5% or something?
Maybe.
What do you want to call it?
5. Well, I mean, it's easier to do math at 5.
Yeah. Okay.
Could be 5.
Well,
yes. This is a luxury item.
$10,000. We can do it at anything. So 3%?
3%. Okay.
3%. So $300. That's 3%.
Yes. So I'd have to pay them back all 10 of their money and then 300 of my money.
That's right. So you gave up $300 in that deal.
Yes.
You had yours still earning point whatever it is, 0.002.
Yes.
You took 10 from them. You gave them back 10.3.
Yes.
Right? Did you earn $300 at the same time?
No.
I mean, maybe if it was like a really long time to earn $300,
yeah, probably
right?
not, right?
But more than likely,
2-year loan, 1-year loan.
Yeah, no way,
Yeah.
right? So you lost money.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the difference is I'm not going to lose money. Watch.
Okay.
So I'm making 2%, let's call it, over here, right?
Yes.
So I didn't actually mention to you that I also get a bonus each year on this money too. It's called a dividend. So each year I get 2% guaranteed, and then I get a bonus on top of that. But that's neither here nor
Okay,
there.
so I did not get that. We're comparing.
you definitely don't get a bonus.
So I just want to talk about each piece. I want to make sure it's apples to apples. So I'm not getting dividend bonuses here by sitting my money in a savings account.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, again, if you guys at home are getting dividend checks, bonuses from your banks, let us know. I'd love to use them, but I just don't think they're happening, right?
All right.
Okay, cool. So I'm getting 2% and a bonus. I'm going to take this $10,000 from them, right? Because they're going to let me have access to it. And yeah, they're going to charge me interest just like yours.
Okay.
So we're charging 3%, right?
Okay.
Right? It's the same 3%
Yeah,
that they
I
charge
think
you.
so.
So
Yep.
$300.
Trying to make it the same.
So the question is, while this was growing and earning, and I took 10,000 from them, I gave them back 10,300, let's
Okay.
call it, just 1 year worth, right?
Sure, 1 year.
The question is, how much did I make over here? And here's a better question as well. Because this didn't go anywhere, next year, when I put in another $10,000 and now it's $20,000,
Okay.
did my agreement change?
No. Guaranteed contract.
Guaranteed contract. So I still get my 2% and my dividend, right?
Sure.
Cool. When you put in another $10,000,
I matched you over here, and I put in another 10 in the next year.
getting anything better?
No.
Any bonuses?
No.
Any more interest than 0.002?
No.
So you definitely lost $300 when you did your deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Depending on how much I'm earning and how much that dividend was, I either came out ahead or even. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
So I
See
went
where you're
up.
going. See where you're going.
So again, you went up and came back down when you use cash. If you just finance, you're going down and going back to zero, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I went up and didn't move.
Correct.
Still got
oh,
a
right.
seated.
I'm sorry. I was acting like I had visually. If you were guys watching on YouTube, I acted like I had both of these. I didn't. I spent one.
Yeah.
And then.
But if you took a loan, then you didn't spend
right.
one.
I take a loan.
But you
Okay,
did lose
cool.
$300.
Yes.
So you really should be at 9,700, right? So you went up and then you came down a little,
Yeah.
right? Where I'm saying I went up and basically didn't move. Right? And then
correct.
as this number, the deposited number gets bigger, as I keep putting dollars in, well, my contract's not changing, is it?
No.
No. Still guaranteed 2%. 2% on how much now?
All the premiums
All of
you've
it.
put in,
All
all
of
the
it.
dollars you've deposited in.
And then if I want another CDU, because I need another one, I get more friends or whatever next year. Well, now I'm earning interest on all.
Deposited premiums.
And then I'll take this one, give
Okay.
it back to them. They'll charge me a little bit, but I probably make way more than that off of what I've got in the policy.
Good point.
That makes
That's a good
sense.
point. So we're just
So I went
keeping
up.
our money.
I bought
saved
something.
somewhere.
I bought maybe more than one thing. I waited a year. I bought something else, and I actually just kept going up.
Okay, got it. So you're collateralizing your asset, borrowing against that asset with dollars you can spend. Now here's another reason. Can you take these dollars for any reason?
Sure.
Okay.
Anything I want.
So it might be a little bit harder for
I bought a washing machine with my cash value a few years ago.
So-
my mom was just at my house. Our mom.
Yeah, I'm
was
familiar with her.
Yeah, was just at my house and said, "Your washing machine is so nice." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Not the washing machine we grew up with, that's for show. Okay, so here's another thing is when I go to take that loan from the bank, third party, I have to actually justify the loan.
They sure do. They ask you a lot of questions. You ever been in there?
Is it the same thing when it comes to your policy?
No, man. They don't ask me any questions. They ask a few questions. How much money do you want, and where do you want it sent? To your mailbox or to your bank account?
Okay, so explain to the friends and family that we have out there, why is it that in this particular system we're comparing where we've saved money, why don't they ask me to justify the loan?
Well, just because inside your policy, you've got first right of refusal to the money. It's not someone else's and you're trying to justify to them why you get it. This policy is built on the fact that the policy owner can have and use the cash value. You've got first right to it. So they don't actually ask you stuff about what you're doing. I mean, like at the bank, it's all about what you're doing with the money. You realize that, right? It's all about what you're doing with the money. If you borrow $10,000 from for a Sea-Doo, for a jet ski, that is a different interest rate than if you borrow $10,000 for a credit card, because they don't know what you're going to do on it, right? It's a different interest rate if you borrow $10,000 for a used car. It's all about what you're about to buy. That's how they charge you.
And you have to, and that's what I'm saying. You have to justify it. Yeah. They can also deny it. But does that happen in your holding tank that is this privatized banking?
We've helped thousands of people. Not one person's ever been denied for a loan. All good. Go get it.
And the reason that I was kind of fishing for a second is because that collateral that you can use, cash value, is based on a guaranteed death benefit they'd have to pay out.
That's right.
So they already plan to give you this money. It's just, this is what you can take if you want without even dying. So it's very important for folks to understand the money is there. It's up to you whether or not you'd like to use it. Not up to them.
That's right.
You stay in control. It's a word we don't use all the time because we haven't been on our podcast explaining to people a little bit a lot of things about actually cash flowing things that they want to buy.
That's right.
It was what we haven't spent a lot of time on, but I think we're now going to be doing that more. We have a whole YouTube series that you're helping people understand. Hey, here's an example of something you may wanted to purchase.
Yeah. Speaking of YouTube, let's jump into our fan follow of the week. So our fan follow this week is DeAndre Reynolds, coming to us from our YouTube audience. He's a recent subscriber. And so thank you, DeAndre. Thanks for watching. Great. If you're watching this, let's do one more, if that's cool. Let's do one more example, cash and something else.
I'm ready.
Cool. And DeAndre, this one's for you. Okay. So let's do an investment, because sometimes people say, why would I put my money somewhere where I only make 1 or 2 or whatever percent plus the dividend, when I can put it in something else that makes 5, 10, 15, 20. Crypto is killing right now, right?
No, it's not.
I agree. But 6 months ago, that's what everyone was saying.
6 months ago, that's what everyone said.
Right? So they say, why would I put my money there? So let's do the same thing. So again, I'll let you be cash.
Okay.
And I'll be the policy. Okay. So let's use, instead of $10,000 this time, let's do $100,000. That make sense?
Got it.
Okay, cool. So let's say you've got an investment that makes 20%. We actually recently did one that's making 15.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that video on YouTube, it's coming out real soon, or we've got a walkthrough on that. But let's say you found an investment that makes 20%. So 20% of $100,000 is going to end up being
$20,000.
$20,000. That's kind of going to be your gross yield. Does that make sense?
Gross yield.
Okay, so
you find a 20.
Sure. You're calling me and you're saying, Jonah, why in the world would I do this policy when I can take my $100,000, throw it into the investment, and make $20,000 on the investment? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
People ask all the time.
All the time. Now let's be real about the investment. If you make $20,000 on an investment, let's just assume you're in a 30% tax bracket, so you got to pay some taxes.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
Okay, cool. So 30% of $20,000 is $6,000.
Yes.
Okay. So that means your net yield, if you make 20, you have to give 6 in taxes. Your net yield is 14,000.
Correct.
Cool. So your investment
14.
deal, you made $14,000. You started with cash. You put cash into your investment. You made $20,000 gross. After you pay taxes, you make $14,000 net. Most people understand that, right?
Yes.
If you're calculating your investments without calculating taxes, shame on you. You don't get to keep all that money. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you're at 14. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to do the same investment that you did, except I'm going to put my $100,000 first inside my banking policy, my personalized private banking policy. So now my $100,000 is is here, safe, earning. So keep in mind when your investment's over, you do get your 100,000 back.
I get my 100 back,
you
and I got 14 extra.
Okay, cool. So my 100's here as well. Okay,
yes.
Cool. Then I'm going to take cash value out of my policy to do this same investment. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I'm going to use the insurance company's 100 to go do the investment.
Yes.
Right? Now I borrowed this money from my policy. It's a loan. It's not mine. It's theirs. So I borrowed it from my policy. So let's say that I'm going to charge myself 8% interest. That's what I want to charge myself. Meaning when I put this $100,000 back, I'm actually going to put back $108,000. Does that make sense?
Okay. You've set a payback schedule.
I've set the payback schedule of 8%. So that means when I put the $100,000 back, I'm actually going to put back 108.
Okay,
cool. Now the 100,000 we put into the investment. So we made 20%. Right? So can you give me a 20?
Oh, yes.
All right. I appreciate you.
I just put it away.
No problem. I'll take a 20.
Go.
Just like you made a 20, right?
Yep.
No difference? Okay, cool. So my gross yield, $20,000. That's the same as your gross yield, yes?
Yep.
But here's the key. Since I borrowed money from my policy, I borrowed the 100 from my policy, I'm obligated to pay that 100 back. Right? I got to pay $8,000 back.
Oh, yes.
Because I said I was going to pay it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's less, this $20,000 gross yield is less that interest of $8,000. See, when I borrowed the money from my policy, I wrote up a promissory note.
Yep.
Just between me and my accountant that said, hey, I borrowed the $100,000. So when I put it back, I'm going to put back 108. I made up the numbers, but that's what I wanted to do. So come tax time, they say you made a gross yield of 20,000 less $8,000 of interest. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So my gross yield is actually only 12,000. Does that make sense? 20,000 gross yield minus 8,000 of interest is actually
8.
Yeah. $20,000 gross yield, right?
Yes.
Minus $8,000 of interest.
12.
It's 12,000.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this is my gross yield, but the other 8,000, you got 8 for me?
Yep. That's what's coming up with $8,000 for the. Well, these are just the people who are watching us.
It's just the people who are watching, but I want to illustrate it for you. I got 5. I appreciate you. 7 and 8. Now I got 8,000. You ready for this?
Yes.
The 8,000 that was the interest, not calculated in the taxable earning, went back to my policy.
Yes.
Because that's who borrowed the money. Right?
Borrowed the money from.
I got my 100 back. I put the 100 back in the policy. I put the extra 8, the interest, back in the policy. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So taxable net yield, 12,000. That makes sense?
Yep.
$12,000. Okay, cool. So if I've got to pay taxes on $12,000, you had to pay taxes on 20.
Yes.
I've only got to pay taxes on 12. That makes sense?
So 30% of 12.
So 30% of 12,000. Absolutely. So guess what? Here's what's going to be key. When this is all said and done, I get to keep all of what comes back to my policy plus all the net yield as well. It's all my money. I all have access to it.
Yes.
While my 100 was still growing. So you finished the equation with how much money in your pocket? 14?
114.
Cool. I'm going to finish the equation with 16,400 in my pocket. Not 14, right? 14?
Yeah, 14.
14 extra. I'm going to finish with 16,400. Now, I don't know about you, but when I grew up, 16,000 is more than 14.
That's true.
14.
On the same investment.
Now, let me ask you a question. Did we do a different investment?
No, that's the thing.
Did I make
same investment?
Your earning was 20, my earning was 20, right?
Yes.
The same investment. Cool. But the way that I did it, because I borrowed money from my policy, wrote up a note, paid my policy back, I finished with 16. Instead of 14.
On the exact same deal.
And so the original question was, well, hey, if I'm...
why would you put the money...
Why would I use my policy? I can go make 20 and an investment. Why would I use a policy?
It's because we just did the same deal and you actually came out ahead because you utilized your policy, a place with uninterrupted compounding growth that you can pay back, that you can restore what you had while it continues to grow.
We get that question a bunch. I just wanted to illustrate it and point it out.
Some people are going to get that. We hopefully will get the visual up on this episode for those of you watching.
We've got a few other episodes. Yeah. We've got a podcast episode recorded in the past called But I Can Get a Higher Rate of Return. So you can go watch that one. We've got a YouTube short video that'll come out in just a few days or a few weeks. That's talking about our latest investment, where we actually do have an investment that's ongoing at 15% currently. Yep. And we compare that with what we did and what you could do with cash. And we actually do the numbers again. So you've got lots of chances to kind of to dive in on and hone in on this. But
love it. So ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you learned that as we walk through and as you visually, potentially, or audibly heard us messing with these dollars. So watch us on YouTube, subscribe there if you're just listening to our podcast. We've got one more recognition, and it comes to us via TikTok. It is our comment of the week. The Shiny Apes, Jonah. The Shiny Apes.
All right. It's good. Okay. Good name, I guess.
You need to inform people of what kind of insurance this is.
Okay.
Well, let me see. There's no punctuation, of course, on TikTok. So you need to inform people of what kind of insurance this is available with. Not all policies allow this.
Oh, I agree.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So remember, ladies and gentlemen, there are lots of different types of insurance. There's car insurance. There's home and auto. That is not what we use. We use a specific custom designed whole life policy from mutual companies that we can deploy cash from. The point is not the death benefit. We didn't spend any time talking about what happens after the insured body dies. And that's how we normally have historically thought about insurance.
That's
but
right.
We're talking about the cash use, the being able to deploy money from whole life customized for what we like to call banking.
That's right. And if you haven't got started yet, please reach out. We'd be more than happy to talk with you. Got lots of videos, lots of content, lots of classes. We got anything you might want to understand and learn this better, but we don't have you. And so if you haven't watched it yet, please reach out. We want to talk with you. We'll answer your questions. We can help you get going.
Love to help that happen for you very soon. We suggest you save your money and spend somebody else's. That's what it's all about. And compounding means we should have started yesterday. The Chinese proverb says the best time to start your infinite banking policy using customized whole life was 20 years ago. Second best time, Jonah, is today. Talk to you soon.